Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by eBodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards.
Well, a happy Halloween, everybody. Jay Reale here with The Real Deal Show, and today's date is Halloween 2021. Today's show is a little more, let's say, current events or topical in that I'm going to talk about a couple events coming up and a couple of trips as well. One that already happened, one that's going to happen. So let's start out by, first of all, congratulating PLC, Pierre-Louis Costas, who took the win at the Fronton King event over there on Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands. He hadn't won the event since like 2012, so a 9-year drought, at least in that event for PLC. So he took the win in some, I don't want to say epic conditions. It was kind of subpar compared to what it has been other years, but still epic. If you watched any of the clips online, you saw those guys hucking themselves into the air over nearly dry reef. That's a gnarly spot. So congrats to PLC. Also, the California Bodyboarding Alliance, which has 3 events this fall. They completed 2 of the events, one in Santa Cruz about a month ago, and another one in Imperial Beach, California, just last weekend. So those events went off. Those are basically amateur events with multiple divisions. They do have one more event coming up, and that one is going to be in Oceanside, California, the first weekend in December. So if you have any, ambitions to compete and you want to get back into competition, there hasn't been bodyboarding competition for most people for many years, probably since the BIA had contests here in California. This would be your chance. You go on the Stacked app, that's STACT app, on your phone, and you can sign up for that event. The spots will fill up fast. I will be competing in the Masters division personally, so I'll be down there as well. And then, of course, the big event is going to be the Bodyboarding US Festival that's coming up in Ocean Beach, San Diego, the middle of November. I can't remember, November 14th, 15th, 16th, somewhere in there. Sorry, I should have had a calendar in front of me for that. And that one has prize money and a pro division and multiple amateur divisions. I'll be competing in that one as well. So will Vicky. I'm in the Masters division. Vicky, obviously, in the women's, I think she's doing the women's pro division. So a lot of people come from all over the country for that particular event. It was last held 2 years ago in 2019 and was a huge success. We actually had a massive swell that weekend for the event, and it washed into the officials' tent. They actually had to delay the start of the event because it was literally flooded in the tent. And they had electronics and stuff because they have electronic scoring. So big swell that particular weekend. And I remember Dave Hubbard, who won the drop knee and the pro, just killing it at that event. I don't know if he'll be there again this year. I would suspect he might be to defend his title from 2 years ago. So Bodyboarding US Festival, you can Google that and see all the information on that. Again, the middle of November, coming up really soon. Additionally, we have an event coming up, and again, I'm recording this on Halloween 2021. Next weekend, November 6th, is International Bodyboarding Day, and that declaration was started by the Vintage Bodyboard Collectors group, the Facebook group that has over 30,000 members on it. If you're not on it, you should sign up. It's a fantastic Facebook group. People initially it was for people to buy, sell, and trade vintage bodyboarding gear, boards, sometimes fins, videos, magazines. But it exploded several years ago into basically just a giant online bodyboarding community. And most of your well-known pro bodyboarders are in there, mostly from the past. Guys like Mike Stewart are on there, Danny Kim, video people like Tom Boyle. Just legends of the sport are on there, and you can actually communicate and converse back and forth with them on there over over various topics. But my point is, next weekend, Saturday, International Bodyboarding Day. It's always the first Saturday in November every year. But this year takes on a special meaning. I mentioned a couple of shows ago that the inventor of the boogie, Tom Morey, passed away on October 14th. And we're going to do a paddle out at our local spot, T Street, here in San Clemente at 10 a.m. on November 6th. Do a paddle out for Tom, have a little ceremony there on the beach. And there are multiple paddle outs all over the world happening on that day for Tom, including one right at the place where he very first rode a bodyboard, the first boogie that he built back in 1971. That's Honol's on the Big Island, on the west side, Kona side of the Big Island. There's also one going on down in Carlsbad, California, which is where Tom started the Tom Morey Company, building boogies down there. There'll be one, I know, in my old hometown, Ocean City, Maryland. My friend Mike Strawley is putting one on. Mark Thomas, my old bodyboarding buddy, will be there as well. And there's, again, all over the place. There's some in Northern California, and there's some overseas. People are going to paddle out to celebrate Tom's life. He's a great guy. I mentioned 2 shows ago all about Tom, and if you want to, commemorate his life and his contribution to your life as a bodyboarder, which is undeniable because he invented the boogie, you want to look into that. There's a Facebook group called Put Your Body on a Boogie. Patty Serrano runs that Facebook group, and she's posting a list of all the paddle outs that she knows of all over the world. She's asked that people reach out to her and give her locations and dates for the paddle outs. So you can go on Put Your Body on a Boogie on Facebook, and you can see there's a PDF document that you can check out. She's also been doing cool interviews with people from the past of the sport of bodyboarding to get stories about Tom, to sort of commemorate the fun times that some of us had with Tom over the years. So check those out too. Fun little videos she's posting up on YouTube, and she's linking them on that Facebook page. So check that out. That's coming up November 6th. Our paddle out is. Anyway. Other things going on. You may know, if you follow our social media, that about a month ago we went to the BSR Surf Resort. Now, if you don't know what BSR Surf Resort is, you might want to go to our blog link on the website and go down to Bodyboarding Travel. And there are a couple different stories there about our trips to BSR. It stands for Barefoot Ski Ranch, which it initially was a water skiing destination. People could go there. They had lakes and a cable park and lakes for boats as well to pull skiers and wakeboarders. But it eventually became more known for the surfing that you can do there. There's a wave pool there that's extremely famous in the surfing and bodyboarding world. They call it now BSR Surf Resort, and they cater to surfers and bodyboarders that want to come over there. They have an amazing wave. You can find it all over YouTube, our videos from our trips, as well as other people. The Boogie Nation crew just went right after us, and they just put out a killer video of guys doing crazy stuff. I can't even describe the maneuvers those guys are doing. Our video from our trip will be coming soon. Brian Press, our friend, is working on that one. And he's a busy man. So we'll get that out in the next couple of weeks, I believe. So definitely be following our social media for information on our video. And I have also written a blog about our trip. That'll go up on the Bodyboarding Travel section of our blog link on the top of the site if you want to read about our trip. I'm going to be posting that up very soon. It's pretty much complete. I was hoping to wait for the video to come out so I could link that in the blog as well. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, as I mentioned. Anyway, BSR has hosted twice now our event, which we call the Texas Tube Tour. And what that is we basically open up entry into that event to anyone who wants to off the website, and people can sign up. The link at the bottom of our site is called Bodyboarding Travel, and that has information on the Texas Tube Tour. Of course, I mentioned we just had the trip the beginning of October. We will be doing it again next year for sure. It was a massive success. There's a chance we might do a spring edition. We're still debating that, but for sure we'll be back in the fall in October. And it's just awesome. And you go there, we have 24 slots that we sell to the Texas Tube Tour. People can split a slot if they want to save a little money and take turns riding. Basically, the riders get 6 hours of surf time over 2 days. We have the pool booked out for 16 full hours over the course of 2 days. We do catered meals right there at poolside, and you can hang out, watch your friends, video, GoPro. You can ride a surfboard if you want. You can ride a variety of waves. There's a ton of different options, about 12 or 14 different wave options. And if you've watched any of the videos, you've seen what can be done on that wave. You can just have a standard nice peeling wave, or you can have a rampy, wedgy wave, barrels. It basically can do it all. At basically the touch of a screen, the operator of the wave has it's almost like an iPad, right? So it's got it's a tablet with a screen, except it's built into a console, and they have the wave types, in little icons, and you can just touch them and generate whatever wave you want. So it's unbelievably fun, and if you watch the videos, you'll see what I mean. So if you're interested in our next Texas Tube Tour, just keep tabs on that bodyboarding travel page at the bottom of our website, and you'll see information about the trip, and when we're ready to sell the slots, we'll post it up there as well. Our favorite trip for sure, though, that we sell through ebodyboarding.com is one that will now be going on year number 5. I think it's year number 5. This is the Tavi Tube Tour. So what is Tavi Tube Tour? Tavi is a nickname for Tavarua Island Resort, which is, I would say, arguably the most premier surf resort in the world. It was started in the late 80s by a couple of guys from California, Dave Clark and Scott Funk, and they lived on this island or camped on the island by themselves way back in the day, early 80s. They were exploring, the South Pacific Islands. They were in Fiji and had heard from this yacht guy named John Ritter, no relation to the Three's Company actor, that there was this wave breaking in front of this little island. So Tavarua is a small 25-acre island, and back then you had to get permission from the tribal elders if you wanted to do something like that, go camp on the island, because there was sort of tribal waters for different groups of folks in Fiji, and they held the fishing rights to those places. So if you wanted to go out there and hang out on that island, you had to get their permission. You'd go to a kava ceremony. You'd sit down with the village elders, and you'd ask them permission. I know this because I've talked to people that were involved back in those days, and I also went on a trip to Fiji many years ago where we sailed on a cargo ship to a place called Tavarua Island, and we basically got dropped off on a beach in a village. There's no way to communicate and to let them know we were coming, so we went up on the beach and we had to go ask the tribal elders permission in that village to not only stay in the village but to surf the waves out front. And we went to a kava ceremony where you sit around and they have a bowl of kava. You can look it up. It's really interesting stuff. It's basically like river water, but it's a root called kava, and they pound it in water, and it creates this drink that they scoop out with wooden bowls, and you take turns drinking it, and you pay respects to them. And it's a little, I won't say it gives you a buzz, but it makes your lips tingle. I don't know exactly how that works, but anyway, it's a sort of a rite of passage if you ever go to Fiji in particular. But anyway, I digress. So Dave Clark and Scott Funk got the idea that, hey man, this place is pretty incredible. They were surfing a spot called Restaurants, which is a absolutely perfect machine-like left-hander right in front of what is now the resort restaurant. And they surfed that, and they kept seeing in the distance off the backside of the island this other left, about a mile and a bit out to sea. And so one day they took a boat out there and discovered cloud break, which, if you have spent any time investigating some of the best surf spots in the world, you know that is one of the premier waves on the planet. It's a pretty wild and crazy wave that can handle surf from 2 feet to 20 feet. It's a mind-bogglingly heavy-duty wave when it gets big. It's gnarly when it's big, and when it's small, it's much more playful. So kind of depends on the swell direction as well. But it pretty much picks up any swell that's in the southern hemisphere, coming out of the area under New Zealand, the Tasman Sea, out into the Pacific to the east of New Zealand. It'll send swell right up there. And the spot Restaurants, which is in front of the restaurant, is, as I said, a mechanical wave. There's also a little kiddie wave right next to the beach inside of Restaurants, inside the reef. That's called Kiddie Land. Breaks like 30 yards off the beach. Perfect for little kids, beginners, first timers. A super soft little easy wave. And there's other great waves around, like if you never want to surf, cloud break or any waves of consequence, you can certainly do that. In fact, some of our group do that, that go on our trip, and they surf Tavi rights, which is a fun right-hander, and swimming pools, which is a kind of a softer right-hander, and there's also Nomotu lefts, which is not on the same level of cloud break in terms of heaviness, but it's still a fairly decent left-hander that peels in. It's a little current-y. I know what I mean by that is it's the tide really affects the amount of current ripping through the line up there, and you have to paddle pretty hard to fight the current if you go at the wrong tide. So, but anyway, the reason I mention all these waves is because we do this trip called the Tavi Tube Tour, and it's a 1-week stay on the island. Basically, once you get there, it's all inclusive. All the meals, you get 3 buffet meals a day, coffee, juice, and tea. And there are boats out to the multiple surf spots every day. That's all included. You can go to cloud break, you can go to other spots if you have enough people that all want to go to the same spot. And they have boats out to go fishing. If you're not into riding waves one day, you can go on a fishing trip. You can also arrange scuba trips. You can arrange a trip to play golf on the mainland. They can sort it all out for you, or you can just lay in a hammock for a week if you don't even want to do any of that. Plus, there's world-class snorkeling literally 20 feet off the beach, and you stay in what's called a beret. It's basically a little sort of like a bungalow. All the berets face the ocean. They're just off the beach. You can see the ocean. It's 40 yards from your front porch of your beret. And the restaurant is sort of the central meeting place where everybody hangs out, eats. There's a bar there. You can buy drinks. They sometimes serve appetizers in the evening. There's a hot tub and a pool for the kids and yourself right next to the restaurant. There's also a bar right on the beach called the Kulu Bar. There's a game room. There's tennis courts. There's a skateboard ramp, a basketball court, a gym, and a little store also, all right there. And again, the island's only 25 acres. Takes you 15 minutes to walk around it. You can, again, go to our blog link and go to Bodyboarding Travel and read about our prior trips to Tavarua. It's a 11-hour flight from LA, and then you get there and everything's taken care of once you get there. So it's not a cheap trip, I will admit. It is very expensive compared to other destinations that you could go to, but there is a reason we are going back again and again every year. It's because there's a magic about Tavarua that you can't really convey to people unless you actually physically go there. So if you have the means, it is a bucket list trip for sure. So again, go to the bottom of the site, just like with Texas Tube Tour, and click on the Bodyboarding Travel link and you can see all the information and prices about the Tavi Tube Tour. We are doing 2 weeks this year. Well, that's how much we love this place, and the demand is very high to go. I will say that Fiji, the borders have been closed for nearly 2 years. They are just reopening the borders in Fiji on December 1st. That's the first time they're letting travelers into the country since March of 2020. In fact, we were there in March 2020 on Tavi Tube Tour, and we just got out of the country before they locked down the borders. We barely made it out, or we would have been stuck there. Not such a bad thing, although I think we would have been in the poorhouse if we had to stay there for 2 years. So in any case, we do have a few slots left for Tavi Tube Tour 2022. Not much, though. They're going fast, and I will say, keep in mind, and not everybody's into this, you do have to be fully vaccinated if you're 18 or older to enter the country. You do have to take a COVID test before you go and 2 days after you arrive there as well. So there are some hoops to jump through to get to Tavarua this year. And, you know, I don't know how long it's going to be before those kind of restrictions melt away here in the world. You know, some countries have those restrictions, the vaccination thing, some don't. I won't get into a political discussion here on the Real Deal Show because this isn't the place for it. But anyway, if you're interested in going and you are willing to be fully vaccinated by February, by the way, the dates, first week is February 26th to March 5th. Second week, March 5th to March 12th. That week, the second week, is nearly sold out. The first week, we still have, I think, 3 or 4 openings, berets available. And you can fit 2 adults in a beret, or you can fit a family. You could fit a family of 4 in a beret. So it's very kid-friendly, this place. The kids can just run amok and play. We pull our kids out of school. They get independent study homework, and they take it with them and do their homework on the beach in Fiji every day. How killer is that? So that's our favorite, probably our favorite place on the planet. And Vicki and I have traveled extensively over the years. We absolutely love Tavarua. And it's not just the place and the waves. The people of Fiji, the folks that work there, are second to none in terms of hospitality and warmth and friendliness. And they genuinely, you know, remember you when you come back. You feel like you're part of that Tavarua family. So if you want to capture a bit of that magic, check out the Tavi Tube Tour. Spots are going quick, and information is, again, on the Bodyboarding Travel link at the bottom of the website. So I think I've covered just about everything, folks. That's going to do it for this Halloween edition of the Real Deal Show for 2021. As always, if you enjoyed this show, and even if you didn't, you can just try to make me feel good by clicking that thumbs up link if you're watching on YouTube, and don't be afraid to throw in a comment or 3 underneath, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos on YouTube, including many how-to videos. I go over all kinds of stuff in the how-to videos, so check those out. And if you're listening on the podcast, hope you enjoyed your workout or your drive or whatever it was that you were doing while you were listening to the podcast. And we look forward to bringing another show to you very soon. So that'll do it. Jay Reale again, the Real Deal Show, over and out, and I will see you in the surf.